Well, welcome to another edition of our State Fair virtual interviews. Of course, we can't be on the state fairgrounds because of the virus, and here we are. What better way than to celebrate late August, early September than here on a computer screen? And it's time to talk men's gymnastics. And this is probably my favorite event of the entire series of interviews we have here because one of our favorite things that we've done in my time here over the course of different appearances, different dinners, different banquets, different road trips is we've asked Mike Burns to oftentimes do a handstand and walk across the stage, whether it's at an official event. And Burnsy, that all started on the State Fair stage at the University of Minnesota.
You know, Mike, it was the beginning of a wonderful relationship, I tell you, right?
It was. That was, I believe that was State Fair 2007. And I remember I was new to the job, and so I was getting to know everybody. You and I had not met, and I said, hey, we got to give the people something. Let's, what can you do? I think I actually said, can you do a somersault off the stage or something? And you said, no, but I can walk across the stage in my hands. I'm like, we're going to do it. And you didn't believe I'd have you do it. And, I'm a thrill seeker. So I said, let's do it. And the next thing you know, you're walking across the stage, and it's become our bit over the course of now 15 some years since.
Yeah, I've always felt kind of like your circus monkey, Mike. And I've been proud and happy to do it for you.
And we had a Gopher talk earlier with Shane Wiskus, who joins us as well, along with Tyler Davis. And we got to the point where I actually asked Shane to do the Mike Burns handstand, and he did that on live Zoom. We think it's probably the first time that's ever been done on a live Zoom. So we even incorporated your athletes in the long tradition.
Well, they can do it a lot better than me. So that was a good move on your part, Mike.
Are you trying to pass a baton? Is that what you're saying, that you're not up for the challenge?
Never.
Could you do one right now?
I could try, but I might knock over the lamp.
That's okay. It's just property. Give it a whirl here, Coach.
All right, well, you start talking to Shane and Tyler, and I'll do some antics in the background, and I'll come back. I hope my hair won't be all. Oh, never mind. It'll be fine.
Yeah, do some stretching. Don't pull any muscles. That's for sure. We usually had to give him a rest, but we make some jokes about this. We'll start with Shane. Shane, of course, two-time Big Ten Gymnast of the Year, and we actually joked about this a little bit when we were on our Gopher talk earlier in the summer. And let's see what Burnsy's doing now. When we're on our Gopher road trips, we always have the crowd cheer to get him fired up. But I'm not going to ask you guys to cheer at this point. There's Burnsy on his Zoom in the plush Burns household, getting ready to go. There, oh, nice. Oh, getting the shoulders.
I warm up the shoulders a little bit.
He's cutting out. And nice socks or lack thereof as well, Burnsy. Good job.
At least I got pants on, Grimm. I'm sure you don't.
That's true. Well, I'm wearing shorts. I will admit that, but it's a state fair interview, so how can't you wear short sleeves and shorts? All right, you're going to give it a whirl here, or are you done for the day?
Oh, you want me to keep going? Okay. I thought I did my due diligence.
I want you to walk through the screen here, Burnsy. Walk through the screen here on our virtual state fair. There we go. Mike Burns walking on his hands on our state fair. It all started there in the state fair. He's getting a virtual round of applause, and now we'll have to let him catch his breath. So Shane, we'll start with you here. I know when you and I talked, we talked about the fact that the season got cut short. And a lot of things were up in the air in terms of Olympics, in terms of what the immediate future and the long-term future would hold. Now we're kind of through the summer, getting ready for the fall, and I guess I'll just ask a general question: what is your state of mind like now, and what are your hopes here over the next 6 months in terms of your own personal and team things going with the Gophers and Team USA?
Yeah. So obviously my hopes are that we get back in the gym as soon as possible, start getting ready for season, have a normal season, a normal pre-Olympic run, and everything's just fine and dandy after that. But the reality is you just have to be, ready for all the uncertainty and all the possibilities that are out there. And at the moment, the only thing you can do is just train your hardest and do what you can and hope for the best. So we're in a bit of a quarantine right now, so So we've been doing pommel horse outside in the grass and hanging some rings from rafters in the park and doing some ring strength. And that's just about as much as we can do right now. But it's just important that we maintain that level of hope and keep doing as much as we can.
So you're not technically able to get back into a gym. When we say a gym, we mean a gym that has the gymnastics equipment and the floor and everything you need.
Right. Yeah. So we went through our first round of testing and both rounds of testing. And, we unfortunately have a few mishaps, but, that's the nature of the virus and someone's going to have it. But, hopefully after this, we can move forward and get back into Cookall soon.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Tyler Davis, will welcome you to our State Fair virtual interview here, and good to see you. And I suppose you're in the same boat, trying to hang from trees and do what you can in the park, and a virtual pommel horse as well, I suppose.
Yeah, taking it day by day, one day at a time, doing everything that we can. Kind of like what Shane said, just having the mentality that we want things to happen, so we're gonna train and prepare as the best we can for whatever situation's thrown our way. So
what were your guys' thoughts when you saw your head coach do the handstand here on screen? What would you, if you were a judge, Tyler, what would you give your head coach on that?
I don't know, throw up the 10. I saw a few bent legs in there though, so that's a few 10s right there.
And Judge Wiskus, what would you throw the grade up on the board?
I would say 8, but since he's over 60 years old, I'll give him a 10.
Yeah, he doesn't look a day over 60, but he is. That's true. In fact, Bernsey, we should mention you. The bike ride. You stopped in the middle of your bike ride. Was that in May? I'm trying to recall. When is your birthday?
Yeah, May 23rd. I did a 62-mile bike ride on my 62nd birthday. And when I got to Stillwater, I stopped and gave you a call. We had a great little chat, didn't we?
It was fun. Yeah, you called me in the video. You had your helmet on, of course, always, being safe. And you told me it was your birthday. I mean, I knew it was your birthday. I think that's how I texted you, said happy birthday. Next thing you know, I'm getting a video call, and you pull off to the side. And we had a great conversation, and that's pretty cool. 62 miles on your 62nd birthday. Now, I talked to you, I think it was about the 40th mile. So I had never really gotten confirmation if you completed the last 22 miles of that bike ride. So did you get all 62 miles in?
I sure did. I got to Stillwater, and then I went down to Hudson and came across the I-94 bridge, went through Woodbury, and had just at that point it was getting a little old, right? But I finished it, and I got to the front door of my condominium in St. Paul, and I was at 60.8 miles. I'm like, oh, come on. So I had to ride around the neighborhood for 1.2 miles to get
just around the block. Yeah.
People are looking at me. What are you doing? I'm just logging miles, man.
It's just pedaling along. Well, Coach, tell us about these two guys we have on our screen here in our State Fair virtual meeting. Tyler Davis from Kansas City, and Shane Wiskus, of course, locally here from the Twin Cities, and the recruiting process and what these two mean to your team.
Well, I think most people who know anything about gymnastics and Gopher gymnastics know the name of Shane Wiskus. He's already kind of building his legacy, if you will. And, he's a local kid from Spring Park, and it was great to be able to keep him at home. He had a lot of opportunities to go elsewhere, and he decided he wanted to be a Gopher True Blue. And here he is, and he's just had such an amazing career up to this point. It was really sad that last year was cut short because he was on a path to do some really special things. And just having gotten to know him the way I've gotten to know him over these last couple of years, he's a really special person. And I'm not just saying that because he's here, but I would say that if he wasn't here, because he's turned into a great leader on the team. Obviously, his gymnastics speaks for itself, but his leadership skills as a team captain have been way more than I anticipated, honestly. Shane, you've far exceeded the expectations, so that's been really good. Now, Tyler's a name that maybe a lot of people wouldn't know, and Tyler's got a great story. He was one of our recruits a couple of years ago, and I have a soft spot for Tyler because he reminds me of me. I walked on at Penn State, and I wasn't making the team, but I worked hard, and I kept pushing, and I kept trying, and that's, I tell you, if you talk to anybody on our team and ask about Tyler Davis, it's like probably the hardest working kid in the gym. And just never gives up. His attitude is always positive, even the days I know he's not having a good day, but he always puts on the positivity, which I think is such an important part of athletics, of course, but life in general, and Tyler has, he came in again 2 years ago, and this past summer he was elected as one of our captains moving forward, which is a real testament to who he is as a person, his work ethic, his desire to help his teammates and help himself. And it's really been a great story. It's a story I'm going to love to tell for the next 20, 30, 50 years. Well, maybe not 50, but, a few more decades, I'll be telling the Tyler Davis story, and I'm going to enjoy telling it.
Yeah, and Tyler's won also a bunch of academic accolades, all Big Ten, all academic. And Tyler, you're a kinesiology major. Take me through that balance between, excelling, in gymnastics, and then also making sure your time management is such that you're getting great work done in the classroom as well.
Yeah, it's definitely been a learning process for sure. Looking back at freshman year, it was very different compared to high school and everything. But I was fortunate enough to have some really good older teammates that kind of gave insight on what they did to help succeed in the classroom and also get things done in the gym and at practice. So I really was able to take some of that advice and utilize it, and it's paid off so far. Yeah.
Well, and certainly, Coach Burns, you've had a lot of team success, national runner-up a couple of years ago, contending for Big Ten championships. Let's, for the sake of our discussion, assume that we get something going in the spring, the season happens. How good, behind Shane Wiskus and Tyler Davis and the rest of this team, and the Big Ten is the best men's gymnastics league in the country, how good can this team be, and can it contend again for conference and national honors?
Well, as a coach, you're always, each year you have a little bit of a different team. You have a lot of the same personnel that come back. You graduated some, you get some new kids coming in. We lost one senior last year, Tim Cotillo, who was a huge part of our success. And that was a hard loss to have, but we got two really good recruits coming in. Hopefully they'll be able to get here to campus soon. But no, I think this is a team that, as a coach, you kind of go, wow, this is sort of like the perfect storm. Everything starts to line up just how you'd like it to line up, and the talent, the leadership, the physical gymnastics leadership, the team culture leadership. I don't think I've ever seen a team that I've coached have it better, and I'm really excited about the prospects for this year. Obviously Shane's on a parallel track with the NCAA program and the national team program. And, he was on track to hopefully make the Olympic team this past summer, but everything got canceled and postponed till next year. And hopefully that'll happen because, he's got a lot of goals. I don't think I've ever seen a guy with more definite goals written down. And he's been tracking this thing for, 12,322 days now, is it, Shane? It's been going on for a long time, right? So, that's how you succeed. You have definite goals and you create a plan to help get you there, right? And for me to be part of that process, I'm just really proud and honored to be a guy that's going to be in the gym with him every day, that's going to have something to do with his success. Now, Tyler's not the same level of athletic accomplishment, but he's got so many great things coming to him in these next 2 years. I'm really looking forward to Tyler. He's been working his tail off this summer. He was home for half the summer working out at his club down there. When he got back up here, he was able to find a place to stay in shape at least, in some ways, Mike, honestly, the break can be good for an athlete at this level because athletes at this level are kind of on a nonstop track. It's like you have cycles within your year, but it's a year-long thing. And to have some downtime where you can maybe let a few things in your body heal up, where maybe in the past you didn't have that time. So you're sort of trying to manage around some injuries and whatnot. So I think there's a lot of positives in a really seemingly negative situation that we need to focus on to realize that it's not as dire a situation as it may seem on the surface, but if you dig down a couple of layers, you're going to find that the nuggets of positivity that are going to help you achieve the goals that you have for yourself.
Well, I did want to ask you, Coach, too, real quickly, and then we're going to talk more about the Gophers, and we'll ask these guys about their experience at the State Fair and some other things here on this virtual meeting.
Hang on. Shane, it looked like you unmuted yourself, like you were going to add to something of that real quick.
Sorry,
So
go ahead.
thought.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on this next team and this coming year and the potential it has. I kind of think of it comparing, at least potential-wise, to my freshman year. Obviously, that was a very strong team as well. We became national runner-up. Sorry, I choked on my own words. But I think that this team is talent-wise one of the most well-rounded and highest potential teams that I've ever been on. So as long as we can keep up the motivation and keep our goals in mind, then I think good things will happen no matter what.
Yeah, that's great. And we'll fingers crossed that when spring hits and even winter hits, that these sports can go, because it really is a momentum kind of thing. If it's proven that some sports can go, then the rest can come along for the ride as well, so to speak. And Coach, I was going to ask you, just in general terms, men's gymnastics, and I know you spent time as an assistant at the University of Iowa. Last week, they announced that the men's gymnastics, along with 3 other sports, they were going to drop. You've been on national boards. You're on national boards. You obviously have the interest of men's gymnastics on your mind. What's your reaction to the news from Iowa City, having had experience there, and what's the message to try to keep everything going strong the rest of the country in this term, in terms of men's gymnastics?
Yeah, Friday was a really rough day, Mike. And having spent 11 years as Tom Dunn's assistant at the University of Iowa, it holds a dear place in my heart. That's where I started my coaching career, and I was allowed to grow underneath Tom's tutelage. So yeah, that was really hard. And it was we had a CGA, College Gymnastics Association Executive Committee Board Zoom call on Friday at 11:15, and I had not heard the news yet, and we had a full agenda for that meeting. And when I got on, I heard the news, and it was talk about hijacking an agenda, right? So obviously we had to kind of redirect our focus, and we ended up having another meeting later that day at 2:00 with all the head and assistant coaches in the NCAA program to kind of discuss how do we proceed with this news. Obviously, it's a situation that's Gary Barta said, no, this is not going to be turned back. We're moving forward. This is a situation. So it put a serious fright into me, right? I mean, I'm usually pretty positive guy, as you know, Mike, and it kind of gave me a little bit of a little hit on my positivity, and I had to kind of recharge myself over the weekend. We did have another head coaches Zoom meeting to talk about what are the things that we as a group would be willing to do without in order to maintain our 14 teams now. And as you can imagine, when you get 14 coaches around the country, it's a little hard to come up with some consensus items. But we have a list of things. I'm actually going to talk to Mark Coyle today at 4:30. I have a meeting with him. I think, Shane, you're going to talk to Mark as well. So I think it's important that we, I understand the situation. It's dire, right, financially. And there are ways to deal with it. Basically, you have 2 things. You have revenue and you have expenses. And right now it's like this, right? So how do you balance it? You bring your expenses down or you bring your revenues up. That's all there is. It's really quite simple. Bringing revenues up in this landscape, this environment is a real challenge. I get it, Bringing expenses down, I mean, there's a couple of ways to do it. Cut programs, or you cut things within your program, or you cut things that surround your program and support your program. And I think at the end of the day, I just have to continue to remember that the only reason I have a job, the only reason we have an athletic department, the only reason any school has an athletic department is because guys like these 2 guys sitting here, student athletes. It's about the student athletes and it's about the programs. And if we can find a way to maintain the opportunities, maintain the programs, I think everything needs to be done to try to do that. And whether that's the case, I don't know. That's above my pay grade. And are we willing to take serious hits in certain things that we could probably live without? I'd say we sure have to be, And, Shane and Tyler, could we do with less Nike gear? Yeah, probably. Could we do with less meals? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. There's certain things that I think at the end of the day, what do these guys want? They want to be in the gym and perfecting their craft and competing and trying to win. That's what student athletes do. not only that, but they're getting a great education, you know. And these two guys, Tyler was a 4.0 last year, both semesters. Shane had a semester in the fall where he missed a week for the World Championship team trials, and he missed 2 weeks for the World Championships. And he comes back and he knocks out like the best semester of his life, you know. And talk about finding a way to succeed when the situation doesn't quite warrant that you maybe could or should. And he just said, all right, I have to adjust how I'm doing things. He did. And he was, like I said, had the best semester of his life. And that's the kind of stuff you love to talk about. And that's the kind of stuff you hate to see the possibility of losing.
That's what it's all about, right? At the end of the day, and let's hope that let's hope that cooler heads prevail. In my thought, and then we'll move on, is that it's it seems to be a short-term solution that creates a permanent impact forever. That there may be, you know, you try to survive the short term, because if you can get through this and football's back and everything's good a year from now, everything's good, right? I mean, you can sustain everything, but the short-term solution with a long-term consequences, I mean, that's a tough thing. And like you said, Bernsey, it's, you know, people higher pay grades than us have to make tough decisions. Let's hope that that Iowa's the end of the road there, that there's no other schools that have to go through what the Hawkeyes are going through now. Well, let's move on, and we'll wrap up our State Fair interview talking about the State Fair. And I'm going to go first with the out-of-stater, Tyler Davis, out of Kansas City. I should have checked before. Have you been to the State Fair? Have you gone with your teammates out in your previous years here in Minnesota?
I have. I've been able to go the last 2 years. It was something far more greater than I ever expected it to be. So it's been some really good experiences so far.
Yeah, when they said you're going to the fair, what did you think? And then when you got to the fair and saw what it was about, what did you think?
Before we went, I don't know. I guess I thought, okay, there's going to be some good food, maybe a few rides, some arcade type games. But when we got there, it was pretty mind blowing. Just how big, how many options there are. Yeah, it blew me away.
Did you have a favorite food that maybe you never had before, that when you went back a second time, or if you go back again, you'll make sure to track it down?
Oh, I always come back to deep fried Oreos.
Yeah.
There's something about that. I can't get enough.
You aren't the only one in our State Fair interviews who mentioned that. Like, I like the deep fried Reese's. Those are good too. And healthy. I mean, you know, you're getting a good. I mean, you know, those Oreo cookies are. You know, you need to add some calories with how hard you guys work. Shane, obviously you're from, you know, Mound Westonka High School, a local kid. I would assume you've been to the fair. Were you a youngster that didn't like the fair and didn't go, or were you a youngster when you were younger that said, yeah, Mom and Dad, take me to the fair?
Yeah, I mean, every year I make it a point to get out there. I mean, I've been going there every single year since I can remember. So it's been kind of a staple point in my the start of the fall for me. Yeah, I mean, we've gotten so good at it now where we're in and out in like an hour and a half. You know, we make our rounds, go to the places we want. If there's anything new that we hear about, we go try it and we get out of there. So kind of like a surgical process now.
Yeah, it's a finely tuned process, no doubt. And Bernsey, obviously, aside from the hallmark of your career where you made your debut walking across the stage in your hands, what else have you enjoyed about taking the guys out to the fair and getting a chance to meet with fans and interact and that kind of stuff?
Well, every time we take the bus from campus out, we get in the parking lot. You know, we have a couple of tickets. We go in, and the first thing we walk by is Sweet Martha's Cookies, right? And how can you walk by Sweet Martha's Cookies? I mean, there's more cookies crushed into the pavement than there are in some of the bins they give you, right? And it's like, oh my God, if somebody came and scraped these off the ground, they could sell a whole pack of them. But, you know, I've actually never purchased one because I always kind of sneak one off of somebody's giant bin of cookies. And it's like it's almost like a religious experience in a way, right? I mean, I'm sure you've had maybe one in your life, Mike Grimm, right?
I've had a couple, yes.
And then you're kind of like, where's the milk? I need a milk. And you got to run over to the cows, right? You got to run over to the birthing pen or something like that. Find the cow to get some milk. And I tell you what, there's so many good pieces of food there that you could choose from. But if you're not a Sweet Martha's cookie fan, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Right. Yeah, no, those are good. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, let's hope a year from now we're all on the stage again. We're all getting to interact with everybody else, and you're getting to showcase Gopher men's gymnastics to the state fairgoers. And let's hope as the spring progresses and we get close that that all you guys get to get into competition. And there's a Big Ten competition. There's meets, and let's hope there's an Olympics next year as well for Shane and the gang. And keeping our fingers crossed and all that.
One thing I just want to mention, just a little bit of a plug. We are scheduled to host the 2021 NCAA Championships in Maturi Pavilion, April 16th and 17th, I believe is the date. And we're obviously hoping that we can pull that off and have an actual national championships. Who knows? Maybe by then there'll be a vaccine. We'll all be healthy. COVID will be a thing of the past.
Let's hope. I like your positive thinking. All right. Hey, guys, that's it. We appreciate it. You guys keep working out in the parks until you get back in the gym. We appreciate your time. Always good to see you. Go Gophers, and let's do it again sometime soon. That's our men's gymnastics state fair interview.